What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Come Back Sports. That's right. It's a sports talk show with 10 sports topics every week. The 10 hottest topics in sports across the country and across the globe. As always, I am your host, Pat Flaherty, and I am joined, as always, by my partner, Brandon the Coach Perry. Brandon, what's up this week, my friend?
What's up, Pat? I'm doing well. I want to give a quick shout out to LaMelo Ball for winning Rookie of the Year, right? I mean, we all kind of thought he would, but even with that injury, man, he still got it done, and the voters still made it happen. So I want to say congrats to him.
Yeah, awesome rookie season for LaMelo. There was a lot of questions about him coming into the year. That was not the only news drop of the day from the National Basketball Association. So we're going to get right into it. Our 10 sports topics are going to kick things off with the NBA. Topic number one, we came into today wanting to talk about the Phoenix Suns, and for good reason. The Phoenix Suns BUZZSAW is what we had for our topic today. So we're going to get into that a little bit, Brandon, but also some big news about Chris Paul and COVID protocols and how long he's going to have to sit out. So Phoenix has been great so far here in the postseason, but they might be missing their best player for almost a week and a half.
Yeah, I think that was big news. And I mean, kind of like the news that our subscribers just keep going up through the roof, baby. So I want to, thank you to our new subscribers checking in. Checking us out now. If you're new now, give us a like, give us a subscribe.
Edges.
Oh, hey, check out Kudo Camera Company as well. That's a great company as well, run by our producer Ben. But yeah, I mean, it was big news of the day, big news for Phoenix coming out, especially with Chris Paul. I mean, I don't think anybody really saw this coming because it was just really one of those things where, I don't know, man. I was hoping like a lot of these NBA players had already been vaccinated, to be honest. So hearing the news that Chris Paul is now under the COVID protocol and is indefinitely out is kind of, I think, big news for this team. And as soon as I saw that it came up, I was like, man, what is it with Chris Paul? Every time the guy's on a run to the championship and on a run to the finals, he either gets hurt or has some big drama like thing that takes him out of the game or takes him out of the series. So it's like it's really big news, I think. But honestly, I mean, like I said, this was the category Phoenix BUZZSAW because realistically, Phoenix has been a buzzsaw in the playoffs, just tearing everybody up. I mean, absolutely destroying the Nuggets. I don't know. Did you happen to see that fan fight where the Suns fan beat up the Nuggets fan?
I did.
And he's like Suns in 4. And sure enough, it happened. The Suns swept them, and the Nuggets fans not only got embarrassed in the stands, but they got embarrassed on the court too because their team just got swept. But yeah, man, this Phoenix team is looking amazing with Devin Booker leading the way. Obviously, Chris Paul coming in with extremely good minutes. And I think he's really the leader out there on the court and off the court. So I think that's even more bigger news why this is coming out today with him being in the COVID protocol. Why, it could backtrack them a little bit, but they're so hot right now. Honestly, if Chris Paul can get back on the court, they're my pick to win the championship right now.
Right. So, I mean, with all this Chris Paul news, from what I saw today, Jalen Rose came out and said that Chris Paul is vaccinated. So that changes things a little bit, because you can still get the virus and still test positive, and you still got to sit out because you could spread it to everybody else. But there's the fight right there. We don't promote fighting on this show, but that's hilarious. So, if Paul tested positive, I'm not sure if it was today or yesterday, but he would be out. I believe if he's vaccinated, he's only has to be out 10 days. Okay, so that helps a little bit. Now, the biggest thing with this is, they have to face the winner of the Clippers series against Utah. That series right now is tied 2-2. The other big news that dropped this morning is that Kawhi Leonard hurt his ACL, and he's not playing in Game 5 and might not play for the rest of this playoff series. So now you have Leonard who's hurt and Paul who's in COVID protocols. Now, if Kawhi Leonard was playing, I got to think that series is going 7. You have a really good Utah team, and then you have a Clipper team who's got Paul and George, and I think that series would go 7. If Kawhi Leonard is out the rest of the series, I got to think Utah is winning in 6 games, which means if Utah is winning in 6 games, that gives Chris Paul less time to go through the COVID protocols to get back out on the court. So what I believe would happen is if the Jazz win in 6 games against the Clippers, the first game of the Western Conference Finals would actually be on Sunday, which would mean that Chris Paul would miss, I think, at least 3, if not 4 games of the Western Conference Finals because of the COVID protocols. He's going to be out 10 days. If the series goes 7, then I think the Western Conference Finals would start Tuesday. That would give Paul 2 extra days to come back. He might only miss 2 or 3 games. So it's going to be really interesting to see, number one, what happens with that other series with Kawhi Leonard out. I mean, unless Paul George goes off in one of those games, I don't see that going more than 6 because Utah is just a good all-around team. So it's just crazy how the Kawhi Leonard injury has a domino effect to the Chris Paul news about COVID protocols in the Western Conference Finals. It's just unbelievable. So, the Suns have been so good. Chris Paul's the floor general out there. He's not as quick as he used to be. He's still an excellent shooter. He runs the floor. He runs the entire court when he's out there. So, without him, they still have Devin Booker. And what's probably going to happen in the Western Conference Finals when Paul isn't in there is Booker's probably going to have to go off for 50. He's probably going to have one of those Devin Booker games, which he can do, where he can go off and score a ton of points. DeAndre Ayton's been playing really well. He's one of those players who's very talented. He's really matured over this season, but he doesn't have to score 30 points and put up a bunch of big stats to play well either. So he's a very unselfish star on this Suns team. So if you have Chris Paul sitting out for a few games in the Western Conference Finals, you really need to see what you got in Ayton, and you need Booker to step up even more than he has been. So this Suns team is very good. They still might be able to win a couple games without Chris Paul, but it's going to be that much more difficult in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 things. First thing, we don't condone, or I shouldn't say, don't approve of those knuckleheads fighting in the stands, obviously. But you got to have your head in a hole or in some sand this week if you didn't see that fight on the internet, because it's just been all over the place. Even Devin Booker was like, who is this guy? I want to know who he is, because I'm pretty sure Devin Booker said he was going to send him a signed jersey. So it's just been all over the place, but we definitely don't condone that type of behavior during live sporting events or at all. That's, we just got that note from our lawyer. But also we want to give a shout out to our Japanese fans, because I know we got a lot of Japanese fans tuning in from Japan, maybe checking out our show, from our Ohtani clips, and we will have some more Ohtani. But right now we're talking about some NBA. But yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a great point with the other series, to be honest. I think the other series is going to dictate a lot for Phoenix. And yeah, do you get playoff Paul or do you get pandemic Paul? And playoff Paul would obviously, drop maybe a 40 or 50 piece and bring this series to 7. But if pandemic Paul shows up and maybe just scores, a pedestrian 15 points or something, then I see Spider Mitchell just, in Utah taking this in 6. And then obviously, like you said, that puts Chris Paul on the back foot as far as the protocol. And I think that will, maybe knock Phoenix off a peg a little bit, because obviously we're talking about arguably their best player. I think arguably, in my opinion, it's Devin Booker. But I think you got to say Chris Paul is arguably their best player as well. He's right up there. It's like 1 and 1A. So I think this is going to knock their offense down a little bit, but we're going to need some other guys, like you said, Ayton, to really step up and really prove himself as a star, especially in these playoffs, if Phoenix is going to look to go ahead and continue this buzzsaw effect. But I honestly see it. I see it happening, and I see Devin Booker throwing up a 50 or maybe even 60 if you get this guy get hot from deep. So it's just really one of those things where I think Phoenix is like I said, it's been on a buzzsaw right now, and if Paul can get back on the court, they are my pick to win the title.